so tell me, when you were leaning over on the balcony, what did you see?
The men below. And I used to watch my grandfather a lot, and my father was with him as well. And I was just mesmerized about, with so many people, how they were so into it with the shuckling and the swaying and everything, and others that were sitting and talking as per usual. I'd be playing with the feathers in my grandmother's hat most of the time. And afterwards, Yontif time, it was always good. It was fall, there was lots of chestnut trees around the shul, and my dad and I would be collecting chestnuts. Those are my earliest memories.
Someone told me about the fur stoles draped over the balcony. Do you remember that?
I don't remember that on Hunter Street, but I remember that here. When this building was built, it was Orthodox. We sat in the balcony, which is now that walkway that goes from the sanctuary across to the offices. And there I remember it was a fashion show, and with the stoles, it could be 90 degrees out and women were coming in the mink stoles and draping them over. I think women also sat downstairs in the back, but I remember sitting upstairs.
Here?
Here, yeah. Yeah, it was Orthodox when it was first opened. And Yontif, it was packed. It was a packed house. So they did open up the balcony.
I was under the impression that balcony was never used here.
No, I remember it being used, unless my memory could be distorted. But I can remember.
But what's behind the balcony? It doesn't look like there's a lot of space there.
There isn't a lot of space, but there is about at least a half a dozen rows of chairs that I can remember.
But if this was a brand new shul as they were building it and they intended it to be Orthodox, then that didn't make any sense for them to build a small space upstairs.
Yes, but there were women downstairs as well in the back. It wasn't just upstairs, but I guess I'm assuming it was my grandmother that elected to sit upstairs. I don't know. I don't remember that. I can't even remember what year this shul was built, so how old I was.
1954 they moved in.
I was 9 then. And, but I can remember being upstairs as services were going on. When they made it conservative, it's fuzzy.
What else do you remember about the early years on Aberdeen?
Well, I don't remember too much about the early years on Aberdeen because I didn't go to Sunday school or Hebrew school. We didn't come Shabbats. We only came Yontif because we lived so far away. I didn't get involved with the shul in my own right until Rabbi Weiner was here, and he used to make the services Friday night for the teenagers. And so I used to come to that, and they were so much fun. And then USY, started to get involved with USY. The socializing, and the visiting with the friends and stuff like that.
So did you go on those trips to Israel?
No, I didn't. We couldn't afford it. Didn't know until about 2 years ago. Jerry Goldblatt told me that there were scholarships or bursaries to go. Had no idea. But I was dying to go, and I was 16 and I was working for a temporary secretary office at the time, and I was assigned to Beth Jacob because one of the secretaries was off sick, and it was my job down in the social hall to check off everybody, make sure they had their luggage and put them on the bus. And my heart was breaking. My heart was breaking. And, but no, I didn't go. I saw Elliot go. Elliot Rafel was on it, and Jerry Goldblatt, and Marcia Brandis, and all my friends were going.
And you didn't know about scholarship?
Didn't know about scholarship until Jerry and I were talking about it. I think it was maybe a year and a half or 2 years ago, and he said, "Why didn't you get one of the scholarships?" I said, "What scholarship?" And he says, "Well, I went on a scholarship." He said, "We couldn't afford it either." And he told me about it, and so there you go. So I didn't go.
So Okay, so tell me about how you got to be involved today. How did that come about?
You mean being a shul goer now? My dad died. And he was very concerned. He had no sons. There would be nobody to say Kaddish for him. So that's how I got involved. And life was stressful. He was sick for a long time. My mom was sick. My husband was sick. My daughter was sick. And so I started with the Saturday mornings, and I just found it was like 2.5 hours of peace.
What year was that?
2005.
Who was the rabbi?
It was just at the time when Biller was leaving. There really wasn't a rabbi. It was downstairs in the chapel. Phil Price would do services. Matt Schmerling would do some of the services, whoever was involved. But I just found I'd never had a Jewish education. I grew up in my parents' home, my grandparents' home was very traditional, my grandparents were very Orthodox. Did the things, didn't know why I was doing the things. I started to learn. And I've always been a person that likes to learn about anything, but more the peace. And I've just continued coming because I enjoy it. I enjoy the camaraderie. It's my veg out time. That's how I got involved.
So can you say something about one of the eras we're focusing on is the present era. So can you say something about what it's been like for you since Rabbi Salzberg came and what he's brought to the community?
Oh, I think he's brought a lot of good things to the community. Personally, I love the classes he has. They're not dry. He makes them very interesting. No question you ask him is dumb. He takes the time. I think he's a very kind, compassionate person. I think he's got a wonderful sense of humor. I like the fact when he does his sermons, he asks for dialogue back and forth so that you're not just sitting back, you're participating. I just think he's done wonderful things for our shul. I'm glad he's here.
And the new shul within the shul?
Initially, I was against it. I didn't think it was necessary. I found the chapel very warm and cozy, and I thought, this is one of the reasons why I'm here. We're going to take away from that. The shul's always been in financial difficulty. I thought, do we need this expense? We're going to really run ourselves into the ground. That was my feelings initially. Now it's been built. I think it's a beautiful room. Each week we have more people than we had the week before. So we're filling up. Now it's a necessity. The fact that it's wheelchair accessible and all that, we've got a number of people, I think without this ramp or without the elevator, they couldn't be here. So I think that's great. So now I'm very much for it. But initially I wasn't.
Okay, is there anything else I haven't asked you that you'd like to comment on any of the eras? The 4 eras are the Hunter Street, the early years in Aberdeen, the Rabbi Weiner era, the Rabbi Silverman era, and today.
Well, the Rabbi Silverman era was good. There were good points. There were not so good points. I was involved with the first bat mitzvah class that Cantor Berkovicki ran, which was amazing. We had a wonderful time, that group. Gloria, she ran some classes for the women, life cycle classes primarily, that we had the classroom was full that she taught in. And growing up in the East End where I didn't get to meet or know a lot of the Jewish community of Hamilton. You knew your little section, And that's it. And that's how I began to meet the members of our community, is coming to these classes. I was a young married woman at that time, and that's how I began to meet people. So I can't say there were any bad times here.